Have you been duped by con artists into thinking that looking at magnets will give you a better worldview? Is that really what's happened?
No, it's
Seems
not.
like, what do you know? The people scamming. You said the people who are trying to point it out to you were the scammers. Yeah. You're not very bright. If you're watching this going, how dare you tell me that my philosophy that explains the physics of the incoherent dielectric and magnetic fields isn't going to expand my philosophy and cure the world with free energy? You've been conned. Are you really that dumb? You have been conned. Magnets aren't philosophy. They're not ether. And they're not physics. They're magnets. It's a lie. These are scammers. But that's what we get called when, stupidly, I approach them to explain what science is. They don't want to know what science is because they need it for their grift. They need to explain how this experiment, maybe Michelson-Morley, sounds science. It isn't. It's just called an experiment. So that you think when they apply philosophy to magnets, you're proving some really important thing about physics. Because that's what you've told me. No, mate, you've just been conned by an elaborate scheme that makes you think the study of magnets will expand your philosophy and physics of the world. No, that's garbage. You've been conned by con men. And those same con men have gone out and polluted the world into distrusting an empirical method of science so that they can call their grift experiments. They'll also get on board with other grifters on the globe side that claim that they've got observations of suns that are also worthy of calling experiments. Yeah? Anybody remember me being called a scammer for saying science proves things? Now, if you still subscribe to Jiren Campanella, ask yourself why he's endorsing an experiment if apparently that's a scam. No. Pointing out the scientific method undermines Will Duffy and Aether. That's why he's called me a scammer when I pointed out the scientific method to him and his cohorts. They need the grift. They need to tell you philosophy explains phenomena, don't they? Like we've just been told by this man who has been conned by them. We all know who the con artists are. We all know what they're punting as their con. It's called Aether.
I've also got some questions about ether. Dipping my toes into philosophy of science. There are fields like electromagnetic fields. You can't have a field of nothing. School me on why that isn't required.
What exactly are you claiming, first of all? That we've got magnetic fields. Okay, I'll agree. We do. We use them for pointing compasses. Now you're asking me about having nothing or nothing or something? I don't really understand the second part of your question.
Yeah, what is it a field of?
It's an electromagnetic field. That's what didn't I just say this? We use it for compasses.
Okay. Well, what they were saying is that you can't have a field of nothing. So therefore, there must be some kind of substance behind it that can have a field. Like the magnet occupies a small space compared to the whole magnetic field around it.
Hold on, am I following you correctly? You're saying if we've got a magnetic field, something must be producing it. Therefore, there must be a magnet, right? Unless you're saying something other than that, I don't really follow.
Like you can have this in a vacuum. Like you can also have light in a vacuum or very close to a vacuum, like 10 to the minus 6th vacuum. So since there's so little air, there must be something else having these fields.
You're saying we can have magnetic fields and it doesn't matter if there's gas particles in the way or not? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can have magnetic fields and it doesn't matter if there's gas in the way. Okay? I was expecting a question at the end. Sorry.
To my understanding, a field is nothing without something having the field.
Like a magnet. I mean, that's
by the poles.
The poles of a magnet.
I'll look. I'll end it now, and I'll look into it.
Yeah, but there must have been something else to it. There must have been something else because so far we have magnetic fields. Yes, and there must be something creating them. Yeah, maybe a magnet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's creating them. I just know that they're there. But then you're like, well, but they work without any air being there, like through a vacuum. Okay, yeah, I'll accept that. What's next? What can we do with all this information, first of all? What's the point in that? Knowing that we've just got a magnetic field and it must be created by something. That's great and all, but how's this helping us?
It is more of like a philosophical question, how you can have a field. There is nothing, really.
Well, you said there's a philosophical question in there. I really didn't hear any philosophical questions.
Field is a property of something, to my understanding. How can you have a property of nothing? Vacuum is nothing.
Who said it was a property of nothing? We've gone from it could be a property of a magnet.
Field.
You were like, yes. Now you're telling me it could be a property of nothing. Then I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying like it's a magnetic field, and a field is a property.
What does this benefit? How is this beneficial to us? What's the end result that you're trying to eke out of us?
Okay. I suppose the benefit would be a better understanding, but if you know like the facts, but
You left out a word. A better understanding of magnetic
physics.
No, sorry, no. Physics is a study of the physical and natural world. We're specifically talking about magnetic fields. So you left that word out, though. That confuses me why you do that. But you went, so we can have a better understanding of, and then you
Physics.
left out the word. We're studying magnetism and magnetic fields. That's what you've told me. But I'm now at a loss as to why you'd leave that word out. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, we're studying magnetic fields. Cool. So we've got magnetic fields. You've reiterated it 3 or 4 times. Yes, we have. And they still work even if there's no gas in their way. Cool. Yeah, great, I agree. Okay, so now you're saying, well, we should study them. What should we study? Well, the magnetic fields, presumably. But you didn't say it, and I don't know why. So, okay, well, we can study magnetic fields, yes. What's next?
I suppose that's it.
Oh, okay, back to my original question. How did this benefit us in any way, shape, or form?
Well, to have a better understanding of fields, good to have a good philosophical understanding.
Why?
Like that's how you understand.
You've done it again. Okay, stop. You seem to be connecting things that are disjointed. We need to study magnetic fields. You haven't got an answer to why. But then apparently studying magnetic fields is going to give us a better philosophy? That's a complete non sequitur. No. We can, and I mean, you can also study radio waves. That's really interesting. Yes, you can study magnetic... Yeah. Whoever's talking, please stop. Yes, you can study magnetic fields. But for some reason, and again, I don't know why, you think that studying magnetic fields will give you a better philosophy. No, it will give you a better understanding of magnetic fields if you study them.
Okay.
How does that benefit us?
No, it's just I don't know.
Could it be that you've got some new charlatan guru that's maybe leading you down a bad garden path, that studying magnetic fields gives you true enlightenment and a better philosophy on the world? Perhaps you've been led to believe that is the case. And I've just broken it down into its constituent parts, and all you're really doing is saying, I wonder what causes magnetism. And that's really all you're asking. It has no relation to anything we cover here. It has no relation to the nature of world. It's definitely a phenomena, I suppose, but that's about it. It doesn't help. But you thought it would give you a better philosophy if we studied this. No. Maybe the gurus that you were getting this from made you believe that you would get a better philosophy if you studied magnetism.
I thought it was Aether.
I suppose it would be
I was getting to that.
Maybe.
You ruined my finale, John. Nothing you've discussed is Aether, but you put all of this under the subcategory or subheading of Aether, but it isn't. It's a study of magnetic fields. I don't know why you've got the impression this has anything to do with something called Aether. It isn't. Or philosophy. It isn't. Or better understanding physics. It isn't. It's just the study of magnets. Have you been duped by con artists into thinking that looking at magnets will give you a better worldview? Is that really what's happened?
No, it's
Seems
not
like
about
it.
ethics.
Does seem like it. You kind of told me a minute ago that we need to study this so we can get... You just told me 2 minutes ago we need to study this because it will give us a better philosophy. That's what you said. You've been
Maybe
duped.
I misspoke.
I'm not trying to insult you, but normally when people get conned and the person points out that they've been conned and shows how stupid the thing they've been conned with is, You know, you just told me that studying magnets will give you a better philosophy on the world. Physics. The physical and natural world will be better expanded by studying magnets. Now, when I put it in that way, do you not realise you've been duped by con men into studying stupid crap
I
that
suppose
has no
I
bearing on
misspoke.
anything? I told you it was ether, by the way. It wasn't. That was also garbage and nonsense. They've given you a magical word to believe in and then told you to study magnets to give yourself a better philosophy.
Can he define it?
He's a harmless guy that's just dipped his toe into ether, so I don't want to be
Okay.
too hard on him.
I'm not being hard on him. He come out of the gate with ether. I just want to understand, what is ether? Simple question.
The substance which fields, where fields manifest.
Citation, please.
No.
Oh, I have no citation at all.
You know why? It doesn't exist. You made it up, or you're just parroting something that somebody told you. That's not what ether is.
Yes, I am parroting. That's why I'm so unsure.
The guy's telling you that he's telling you about something undefined. That's ether, and calling a philosophy a study of magnets. This guy's a con man.
No, I suppose I misspoke on that.
I'm just telling you how it is, man. You can brace against it all you like. This guy's a con man. Let's try that a third time. Hopefully the triggered con E won't rumpus it. You've been conned. You thought magnets and what they do, magnetic fields, were something called ether. And you, because of this guy, were under the misapprehension that studying magnets, the thing you were hesitant to say, yeah, was actually going to expand your worldview, scientific understanding, that's physics, and philosophy. Now, I'm telling you,
I know. I misspoke.
you
I
can just
misspoke.
stop and listen to me. It's my fourth attempt to tell you. Not request an interruption. You don't seem to understand what's happening. In reality, mate, I'm not actually telling you. This might come as a shock, right? But I'm telling an audience. You're just amused, like canvas for me to tell a wider audience with you as the example. You have been conned. Magnets aren't philosophy. They're not ether, and they're not physics. They're magnets. You've been conned.
Right. I just want to clarify something.
Sure.
That he's starting from philosophy and then applying that to magnets and fields, including magnetic fields. So I misspoke there. Sorry.
I see. So you're applying philosophy to magnets. Why?
Yes.
Why? Didn't you want to know how the fields worked? I mean, before, preemptively, but if you want to know how something works, you put it through the scientific method. Now, if you're a con man, you won't put a phenomena through the scientific method. You'll tell your audience that you're conning, that you apply philosophy to phenomena. You've been conned. You know,
Sure.
Let me tell you a little story. One of these con men, his name was Jiren Campanella, was talking about science like it was conning people, a reification fallacy. So I took it upon myself to tell this ether-punting charlatan con man what science actually was, because he thought it was okay to tell people the physics and philosophy of garbage like ether. Yeah? Now, when I told him what the actual method you'd apply to a magnet if you wanted to know why it was doing something, that's a phenomena. That would be something occurs in the presence of that magnet and you want to know why, you'd apply the scientific method. Now, I went out of my way to explain to someone who obviously I didn't realise was a charlatan con man punting this grift of ether by applying philosophy to a magnet. Yeah? I pointed out what science was. You know what his reaction was? He went out of his way to tell an entire community that I'm a con man. Yeah, that's right. I pointed out an actual empirical method to establish the cause of phenomena, like magnets, or magnetic effects, because a magnet in and of itself, that's just a concrete noun. I'm pointing out that the charlatans in our flat earth community that use the word flat earth to punt other things that aren't flat earth. And what are they actually punting? They're punting this thing called Aether. Yeah, they're called true earthers. Yeah. Not flat earthers, but you might have thought they were when you got to them. Now, what they will actually do is demean anybody that exposes their grift. Their grift uses philosophy to apply an explanation to a phenomena. No, that's a grift. It's a con. It's a lie. These are scammers. But that's what we get called when, stupidly, I approach them to explain what science is. They don't want to know what science is because they need it for their grift. They need to explain how this experiment, maybe Michelson-Morley, sounds science. It isn't. It's just called an experiment. So that you think when they apply philosophy to magnets, you're proving some really important thing about physics. Because that's what you've told me. No, mate, you've just been conned by an elaborate scheme that makes you think the study of magnets will expand your philosophy and physics of the world. No, that's garbage. You've been conned by con men. And those same con men have gone out and polluted the world into distrusting an empirical method of science so that they can call their grift experiments. They'll also get on board with other grifters on the globe side that claim that they've got observations of suns that are also worthy of calling experiments. Yeah? Anybody remember me being called a scammer for saying science proves things? Now, if you still subscribe to Jiren Campanella, ask yourself why he's endorsing an experiment if apparently that's a scam. No. Pointing out the scientific method undermines Will Duffy and Aether. That's why he's called me a scammer when I pointed out the scientific method to him and his cohorts. They need the grift. They need to tell you philosophy explains phenomena, don't they? Like we've just been told by this man who has been conned by them. Now, it's all clear what's going on here. We all know who the con artists are. We all know what they're punting as their con. It's called Aether. Now, if that wasn't clear to you as an audience member, wake up and smell the bleeding coffee. You've been conned. And the people who are trying to point it out to you, well, you thought we were all scammers, didn't you? Well, what do you know? The people scamming you said the people who are trying to point it out to you were the scammers. Yeah. You're not very bright. If you're watching this going, how dare you tell me that my philosophy that explains the physics of the incoherent dielectric and magnetic fields isn't going to expand my philosophy and cure the world with free energy. You've been conned. Are you really that dumb? Jiren, Dave, Witsit, they're all con artists. They made you think they were explaining an entire world by telling you how to explore a magnet. If you haven't figured it out by now, oh well. Yeah, more fool you. Carry on being conned. I don't care.
I personally told Witsit in 2018, 2019 not to go on this path of Aether because it's a scam, but he ignored it.
Jiren made his biggest mistake recently when he did the same thing that he did to me to a guy who doesn't make a dime out of flat earth. Yeah? A guy who's given up a career hoisting heavy weights on very long strings, aka like a pendulum, and has gone out of his way to describe how Earth is a level plane, exactly as we do. And Jiren comes along and says, you're a grifter, you're a scammer, you're a con artist, you're trying to get money out. And he turns around and says, I don't make a dime. And all he did was show all of the grifts that Jiren's got going so he can punt his Aether scam behind a paywall for hundreds of dollars. And what do we get from the people who have listened to these scam artists? They tell us that a magnet will expand their bleeding philosophy of the world because they apply philosophy to it. If you can't tell you're being conned, right, you're dumb. There's no other words for it.
When I hear about Aether, I know that is tooth fairy. It's scammers and con men.
Yeah.
I know.
And it wasn't until Jiren projected his con onto a man not making a dime was it overtly obvious to everyone around that, oh, I see. Your income while you punt Aether's threatened, to the point where anybody threatening it is going to be claimed to be someone grifting. Even when they're not making money, suddenly his entire argument fell to pieces when he attacked Level Earth Observer, who doesn't make a dime. Yeah. Everyone suddenly goes, oh, anybody who challenges your grift gets called a scammer and a grifter. Oh, I see. It all makes sense now. Why? Well, because he's led an entire populace of people who thought they were studying flat Earth on a merry trail of studying magnets, under the misapprehension they're going to get a better worldview. And the worldview that they've substituted, that they relinquished in the form of a globe faith, has been replaced with a jolly trail of studying magnets. Oh, how wonderful. You've all been conned. I hope it's all starting to become crystal clear what's going on around here now. I mean, it's only taken 8 years.
I'm not a big fan of Witsit or any of these guys. I'm much more fan of you because you're more clear, and so same with Quantum Eraser. That I suppose it also makes sense, at least to my understanding, that the magnet is just causing it, and there's no ether. I suppose that makes sense.
If they just say it like it is, if I study magnet, I'm going to find out all sorts about the physical nature of the... No, you're going to find out about a magnet. But that's what they've been duping you all with for quite a while, isn't it? Yeah? Now I'm not going to stand on ceremony anymore. Jiren's just a wanker. He's conning people. As much as I can stand by the fact that if I want to charge for my time one day, there's no reason why Jiren can't. But now we all know I take that position in terms of wanting to earn a living. Now we can boil it down to brass tacks about what he's actually punting behind those paywalls. His grift, his con, his scam, the same one he said I was guilty of. Well, it's been a few years. Nobody's given any examples of me grifting. I've just pointed out how Jiren and his whole bunch of cronies are flogging you a magnet as a worldview. Hope you've all coughed up lots of money for that crap. Because now it's going to be really hard to relinquish, especially if you're financially invested in it. Yeah? But there's going to be more and more people that are going to start pointing out in the stark reality that it is. Excuse me, dickhead. You're going to tell me I need to study a worldview about incoherent dielectric accelerative forces in a downward bias that gives us the motion of the Earth that might generate an entire electric field to give us free energy? No, Dumbo. You mean you're looking at magnets, do you, Dumbo? Did you pay for that incoherent dielectric accelerative garbage that you just spewed at me? Because all you're doing is looking at magnets, and it's fairly sad. And anybody with half a brain not easily conned would have recognised that months ago, if not years ago.
Did I hear that Jiren actually believes now that the Earth is moving?
Experiment? Sorry, what was that, Jiren? People who say science proves things are scammers? Oh, good luck with your experiment, Jiren. I'm sure that won't be worthy of calling the person spending £31,000 on you a scammer, like you did with me when I pointed out that science does prove things. But now you're into an experiment that we all need to take seriously because of what it might prove. That experiment. No, it isn't an experiment, you Dumbo. Yeah, we are definitely threatening your grift. That's right, yeah. The grift's over. Nobody's buying it. You can carry on selling your magnets behind a paywall, Dumbo. But I assure you, there's a reason many, many, many people have contacted me in the last couple of days pointing out that you're in free fall. Everybody's deserting Jiren. Well, I'm going to shout it from the hilltops, Dumbo, calling me a scammer about 2 years ago. Well, now the tables have turned and everyone's deserting you because you're backing an experiment. Yeah, everyone realises where the grift really lies, don't they, Jiren? That's why you're attacking Level Earth Observer, your biggest mistake, as he's not making a dime. Calling him a grifter. Oh, dear. Yeah, your lashing out in defence has obviously served you badly and people are deserting you even more. They're all contacting me, telling me. Yeah, we're all deserting Jiren, and so are all of his cohorts. Shocking, innit? 1 minute you're telling someone who's explaining the scientific method that they're a scammer. The next minute you're taking part in a quasi-experiment and everybody's deserting you.
Ad hominem, just like Globers do. He's using the same techniques. Fallacious techniques.
Yep. Using science to fraud people into believing there's a problem here. No, there's no problem. There's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that if he had half a brain, he'd understand. Given I've actually explained it to him in the last week, you'd think he would have come out with that by now to a public audience. No, don't worry. I do understand. This is an affirming the consequent fallacy that requires an antipodal assumption. Is he going to do that? No, he's calling Level Earther Observer a scammer. Why? Because he hasn't taken it seriously how devastating this fallacy could be. No, Jiren. That's why everyone's deserting you. Yeah? decrying science and then taking part in an experiment and highlighting how everyone must take it seriously is the reason everyone's deserting you. Meanwhile, I still get the same high praise from everyone who actually listens to what we present here. Same as QE. Same guy who presented this information in the first place. The guy that pointed out how science has got us on a ball when they didn't have any. Science, that is. Experiments, that is. Same fraud you're taking part with, Will Duffy in. That's why everyone's deserting you. Should have listened. Should have paid attention. Should have learned what science was. Or you are either in on the grift or being duped with science by Duffy. There's no other way to cut it and everybody knows it. Meanwhile, behind a paywall, you can grift Aether with Witsit, can't you? Tell everybody that the magnets are going to prove their world. No.
Never. Magnets have always been part of the world. They are not the world itself. Yeah.
What about if I apply philosophy to them? What about if I apply a philosophical framework to them? What about if I apply a preponderance of evidence to them? Then I can explain the physics of the world. Make no mistake.
No. It's a lot more complex than that.
But to the crayon muncher that screamed out, well, Nathan Oakley, the scientific method is philosophy. No. Scientific method is a method. It is derived from philosophy. You're a moron.
Correct.
Correct. I had a change of heart in regards to Jiren. It was like last year when you had an interview with him, QE, Nathan, and Jiren.
It was just me, actually.
I heard him. Yeah, I heard him how he was calling you guys names and stuff, arguing about the scientific method, and I was like, "Oh my God, Jiren!" In my mind, don't say these things because you have no idea who you're dealing with, And yeah, he disappointed me, so I deserted his channel and.
I stole his true colours.
Yeah.
They're
Sorry,
all
I just want to
coming
point something out. Sorry, Neil, to cut you off. Yeah, when I say people are contacting me left and right to point out how and why they're deserting you. Yeah, there's an example.
Yeah.
Like literally on a live stream. But didn't entice that. He just told us, didn't he? Yeah, Jiren, we know they're all deserting you now. Good luck with your experiment. I'm sure that science will prove something, right, Jiren? Oh, what's that? What science doesn't prove? I'm a scammer for saying it does. Yeah, good luck with your experiment and your subscribe account that's dwindling massively. Yeah, everyone's deserting him because they know he's a scammer now. So now it's time to twist the knife. Yeah, what was he scamming you with? Magnets.
I was okay when he was making YouTube videos about Flat Earth and he was making money out of that. I was fine. It's okay. I personally never did YouTube videos about Flat Earth or about anything. But when he went on this path, arguing with you guys about science, I saw how illiterate he is. So I'm not following him anymore. That's it.
Fair enough. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Of course, a huge thank you to Politics Discord server. Be sure to join. I'm sure someone from the moderation team will post a link in the live stream chat so you can check out that Discord server and join today. By con artists into thinking that looking at magnets will give you a better worldview. Is that really what's happened?
No, it's
Seems
not
like
about
it.
ethics.